You saw me at your parties. You saw me in Epstein's homes. You saw me on the plane. You saw me get my hair cut. You saw me on the streets. You saw me. An accuser speaking directly to Naomi Campbell. But it gets darker.
It's all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TD Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all.
Katt Williams warned us. And now he's reacting to evidence that allegedly ties one of fashion's biggest icons to a victim's last word.
I've always said that I'm not a saint, that I am a work in progress, but I will not be held hostage by my past.
Hostage by your past? Honey, this isn't about your past anymore. This is about a voicemail that might just unravel everything you've been hiding. Here's what nobody is connecting yet. In late February 2026, during a routine review of evidence related to the Epstein case, federal investigators uncovered a voicemail left by one of Jeffrey Epstein's known victims. The message was left on a private hotline established for survivors back in 2020, and according to sources close to the investigation, the victim specifically mentioned Naomi Campbell by name, describing interactions that allegedly took place both on Little St. James Island and at private residences in New York and Paris. The voicemail, which reportedly runs just under 3 minutes, has not been publicly released, but leaks from inside the DOJ suggest the victim detailed how she was introduced to Epstein's circle through what she believed was a legitimate modeling opportunity, and that Naomi Campbell was present during at least 2 encounters where the victim felt threatened, coerced, and ultimately trapped. Now, before we go any further, let's talk about the man who saw this coming from a mile away.
It's all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TD Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed.
Katt Williams didn't just predict chaos. He predicted targeted exposure. And in a recent private conversation that was later shared on social media, Katt allegedly responded to the news of this voicemail with one chilling sentence. "I told y'all the gatekeepers were worse than the men. They're the ones who opened the doors and smiled while doing it." He didn't name Naomi directly in that moment, but the timing, suspect, the context, even more so. Katt specifically cited the Epstein list as a primary catalyst for this shift, stating that all of these big-name people are terrified because their names are on those flight logs. And Naomi Campbell's name, it's been on those logs for years. But here's the difference now. We're not just talking about flight records anymore. We're talking about a voice, a survivor, a woman who allegedly left behind testimony pointing directly at Naomi as someone who knew, someone who saw, and possibly someone who facilitated. Let's rewind for a second, because Naomi's connection to Epstein isn't new. In August 2025, when the DOJ released the transcript of Ghislaine Maxwell's interview with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, Maxwell made it clear Naomi Campbell likely visited Little St. James, and their relationship went deeper than cocktail parties and Fashion Week selfies.
Mr. Epstein's properties, the island or New Mexico?
Not Mr. Tucker, well, not to my knowledge, Mr. Tucker or Mr. Spacey. Naomi Campbell may have.
To where?
She may have gone, I believe she visited him in Palm Beach, and I believe she may have gone to the island.
That's Ghislaine Maxwell, under oath, confirming that Naomi had an independent relationship with Epstein. Independent, meaning she wasn't just tagging along. She had her own connection, her own reasons for being there, her own dealings with the man. And when Naomi was initially confronted about her ties to Epstein, she did what every celebrity does when the heat gets too hot. She deflected.
I've rubbed shoulders with hundreds of thousands of people.
Hundreds of thousands of people. That's the defense? Honey, we're not talking about a red carpet photo op. We're talking about 5 documented flights on the Lolita Express between 2001 and 2003. We're talking about visits to private islands, private homes, private parties, where young women were allegedly being exploited in real time. But Naomi wants us to believe she just happened to be in the room and never noticed a thing.
What he's done is indefensible. And when I heard of what he'd done, it sickened me to my stomach, just like everybody else, because I've had my fair predators, and thank God that I had good people around me that protected me from this.
Protected you? Naomi, that's not the question. The question is, who were you protecting? Or better yet, who were you delivering? Because according to the alleged voicemail, this wasn't about Naomi being a passive bystander. This was about Naomi actively participating in a system designed to groom, recruit, and supply young women to powerful men. And if you think that sounds far-fetched, let's talk about Kenya. In January 2021, Naomi Campbell was named the International Magical Kenya Tourism Ambassador. The announcement was was met with immediate backlash. Kenyans were furious. They wanted to know why a local icon like Lupita Nyong'o wasn't chosen. They questioned Naomi's ties to Epstein. They demanded answers, but the Kenyan government doubled down, citing Naomi's over 15-year history of visiting the coastal town of Malindi and her massive global reach. Here's what they didn't mention. Malindi is known for hosting an elite, secretive, international jet-set community, the exact demographic Epstein moved within. And according to the 2026 DOJ files, Epstein showed specific interest in East Africa during the same years Naomi was establishing her presence there. The files discuss his attempts to penetrate the African modeling market, specifically looking for new talent in Kenya and Ethiopia. Epstein wanted access to young, undocumented, vulnerable women from regions where oversight was minimal and opportunities were scarce, and Naomi, she was right there, positioned as the benevolent mentor, the ultimate big sister, the glamorous success story every young girl dreamed of becoming. Investigative threads suggest Epstein's network looked into recruitment hubs in East Africa, particularly in Nairobi and coastal areas. Guess who is the International Tourism Ambassador of Kenya? Naomi Campbell. It's funny how her eye for talent seemed to perfectly align with Epstein's eye for procurement. She was less of a mentor and more of a glorified concierge for the elite's darkest appetites. And we've seen this pattern before. Let's talk about Elsa Majimbo, the Kenyan comedian and influencer who was plucked from obscurity by Naomi Campbell herself, introduced to Hollywood's elite, flown on private jets, given access to circles most people only dream of.
She introduced me to a couple of people in Hollywood, and she's like, oh yeah, she told us like she made you and she built you and she made your career.
Elsa was 19 years old. Naomi positioned herself as a mentor, but the moment Elsa stepped out of line, the moment she didn't play the role Naomi wanted her to play, everything changed.
She just texted me and she was like, stop, like, Elsa, how dare you? Oh, this is the last time I'm speaking to you. Have a nice life. And she hung up. Things started going very badly for me. Things started going haywire.
Elsa was blackballed, her career was sabotaged, she fell into depression and heavy drinking, all because she didn't fall in line. And here's the kicker. Elsa later revealed that she was threatened. She claimed that Naomi warned her that private text messages where Elsa discussed white executives who wished to sleep with her, would be exposed if she didn't stay quiet. Control, manipulation, retaliation. This is the blueprint, and it's the same blueprint that allegedly appears in the Epstein victim's voicemail. But Naomi's pattern of control doesn't stop with Elsa. Between 1998 and 2009, Naomi was convicted 11 times for physically assaulting people who worked for her, assistants, employees, people who were financially dependent on her. In 1998, her assistant Georgina accused her of grabbing her by the throat and hitting her over the head with a phone because they were delayed by customs at a Canadian airport. Naomi lunged at her, grabbed her by the throat, and shook her until Georgina fell to the sofa, shaking and in tears. Another assistant, Vanessa Frisbee, claimed Naomi attacked her during a heated argument. Naomi denied it and countersued. The pattern was always the same: control, intimidation, violence. People couldn't help but notice how similar this behavior was to Diddy's. And speaking of Diddy, let's talk about that connection, because it's deeper than anyone realized. Naomi wasn't just a friend of Diddy's. She was allegedly embedded in his operation. She attended every party. She was there for his 54th birthday in London. She was there for his album release. And according to sources, she was present at events that transitioned into the infamous freak-offs. Naomi was in the room where Diddy was about to assault Snoop Dogg. Diddy had spiked Snoop's drink and dragged him into this room that Naomi was in. Snoop's wife reportedly barged into the room and called his name in front of Naomi Campbell. She saw it. She was there, and she did nothing. In fact, Diddy flew all the way to London just to surprise Naomi with a cake when she received an honorary PhD. You don't do that for just anyone. You do that for someone who's been loyal, someone who's been useful, someone who's been involved. And when Diddy's scandal broke, Naomi scrubbed her Instagram clean, deleted photos, erased captions, tried to distance herself from a man she once called her brother. But the internet doesn't forget, and neither do federal investigators. Because here's what ties it all together. While police were investigating Naomi for misusing millions of dollars from her charity organization, they allegedly stumbled onto a whole other world of crimes. Crimes linked to Diddy, crimes linked to trafficking, crimes linked to the very same networks Epstein operated within. It turns out that while police were investigating all that, they allegedly bumped into a whole other world of crimes that Naomi was involved in. And it was all linked to Diddy and those freak-offs. Her charity, Fashion for Relief, was supposed to help underprivileged communities. Instead, millions were spent on luxury hotels, private jets, spa treatments, and cigarettes. In 2024, she and her associates were kicked off the board of her own organization. But what if the charity wasn't just a tax write-off? What if it was a front, a way to move money, create cover stories, justify international travel, and maintain access to vulnerable populations under the guise of philanthropy? It wouldn't be the first time Naomi used her platform to get close to powerful, dangerous men. Let's not forget the blood diamonds. In 2010, Naomi was dragged into court to testify against former Liberian President Charles Taylor, a war criminal who armed rebels that mutilated civilians during Sierra Leone's civil war. Taylor gifted Naomi blood diamonds during a stay at Nelson Mandela's house in South Africa. When she was first asked about it, she denied everything and stormed out of interviews.
I'm just wanting to get this over with and get on with my life.
You received a diamond from
I didn't
Charles.
receive a diamond, and I'm not going to speak about that. Thank you very much.
But when she was summoned to court and put under oath, her story changed. Suddenly, she admitted she received the diamonds, but claimed two mysterious men showed up at her door in the middle of the night and handed them to her. She said she didn't even know what they were.
So I'm used to seeing diamonds shiny and in a box, If someone hadn't said they were diamonds, I wouldn't have guessed right away.
But her former assistant Carol White and actress Mia Farrow, both of whom were on that trip, said Naomi knew exactly where those diamonds came from. They said she was flirting with Charles Taylor all night and was thrilled when she received them. Lie, deflect, deny. That's the playbook. And it's the same playbook she's using now. But this time, there's a voicemail. A voice. A survivor who allegedly said Naomi's name out loud and described what she saw, what she experienced, and who was in the room when it happened. Katt Williams has been saying for years that 2024 and beyond would be the years of reckoning, that the gatekeepers, the ones who smiled and opened doors and made introductions, would be exposed right alongside the men they enabled. Katt's reaction to the voicemail hasn't been made fully public yet, but insiders say he's been vocal in private circles, calling this moment a tipping point, and saying that Naomi's silence in the face of this evidence is louder than any statement she could make. Because here's the thing, Naomi has been connected to Epstein, Diddy, Charles Taylor, and a pattern of abuse, control, and exploitation that spans decades. She's been in rooms where crimes were committed. She's been on planes that went to private islands. She's been named by Maxwell, called out by victims, and now allegedly mentioned in a voicemail that could change everything. At what point does "I didn't know" stop being a defense? At what point do we stop pretending that someone with her level of access, her level of influence, and her level of proximity was just an innocent bystander? The DOJ is reportedly reviewing the voicemail as part of an expanded investigation into Epstein's network. If the contents are as damning as sources suggest, Naomi Campbell could be facing serious legal consequences, not just in the court of public opinion, but in an actual courtroom. And if Katt Williams is right, if this really is the year when all lies are exposed, then Naomi's carefully curated image as the misunderstood supermodel with a tough exterior and a good heart is about to shatter completely. Because this isn't about rubbing shoulders with hundreds of thousands of people. This is about a victim who left behind her voice, her truth, and a name that she wanted the world to remember. And that name was Naomi Campbell. So here's my question for you. Do you believe Naomi was just in the wrong place at the wrong time over and over again? Or do you think she was actively involved in recruiting, controlling, and trafficking young women for Epstein, Diddy, and others in their circle? Do you think this voicemail will be the smoking gun that finally brings her down? Or will she manage to lawyer up, deflect, and walk away clean like she always does? And do you believe Katt Williams when he says the gatekeepers are worse than the men they served? Let me know what you think in the comments section down below, because this story is far from over. And if the feds are digging, there's a lot more that's about to come to light.